Hello, welcome back to another episode or video here on my channel. We're going to be talking about career and more importantly, career shifts and all of that stuff because, I made a fairly large career shift over the last few months. I quit my job, my full-time corporate job, and I kind of just was like falling into the deep end with no plan. I was just like, I'm tired of this, bye. But I guess when I say it like that, that's what it sounds like. But really, something that I did was making sure that I could just be like, I'm not with this by I did do a lot of prep work for myself in the sense of just like making sure that I had X amount of money set up for myself financially. I also created a plan before I knew I needed to start job searching again, and kind of just made sure that my living situation was ideal for me to be able to quit. And that's, I think, something that's not often told in this whole I quit my corporate job story. It's, you have to think about what makes sense for you, and that's honestly for any life advice piece that I can share with you. It's like, I'm sharing my story because I think people have reached out to me and told me they resonate with it, which is great. I love that. But that this is the thing. This is my story. My story isn't going to be the same as your story. And that's really what I want to emphasize is like, what works for me won't work for you, but figure out what worked for you. And if there are pieces of my story that sound relatable, then that's where I'm here to help. It's just like, this is how I was able to make these things work for me. In terms of quitting my job, like I said, this was like, my family and friends thought it was a very like irrational decision, but like even for myself, which it was. Like, I'm a Capricorn, so I'm just like, always like, what's the next job, right? But it was something that I had been feeling like it was a feeling that I wanted to do for such a long time, and I would was always waiting for like, okay, but when I get this other job, then I'll like quit. But the thing was, it's like I didn't want another job. Like, I thought about like labor, and I was just like the sound I do not dream of labor, like that is really how I felt. And that was just it was just a result of burnout. Like, that's just all it was. And I am glad I've taken the time to kind of sit back and think about like, what is it that I actually want to do? Or I guess I didn't think about that. I haven't thought about what is it that I actually want to do. I've taken time to think about who is it that I want to be and what is it that I'm good at. And that's kind of what I've been doing over these past couple of months. And within that time, like, I don't know, I've impressed myself, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I think there's so many things that I've learned over these last 4 months that I would have never been able to teach myself had I not taken this leap of faith within myself and kind of just been like, okay, yeah, let's quit this job, let's see where it goes. And in terms of me quitting my job, like I said, before I quit my job, I made sure those foundations were laid for myself. I made sure that I had a financial game plan. I made sure that I had a solid living situation, which meant moving back home, right? And it also meant that I had unwavering belief in myself. Okay, like, you can't do this if you have doubt in yourself. You have to be sure of your decision because, it's not easy. And I'll be very honest, like, even in terms of like, I'm at a point now where I'm like, back on the job hunt, and job hunting hasn't been easy either. Like, it's a weird economy that we're in right now. And that's just something, I've never had to think about, is like, what is the economy like when I'm going to be working, which sounds stupid. Honestly, I think that's a stupid sentence, but like, I've never been through a weird situation in the economy as a working individual. So, things that you have to think about in your 20s or when you're adulting that, you normally don't think. And I do think that, like, me quitting my job, like, it's that reason exactly why people look at you like you're crazy. Like, where people are like, oh, okay, like, little miss, I just quit my corporate job, right? But I do think that aside from making sure, like, X, Y, and Z was set up for me before I quit my job, once I quit my job, I was just like, okay, like, I made monthly goals for myself. I was just like, we need to see this much money coming in this month. This is how much money we're going to see coming in this month. And like, this is like the trajectory we need to be going, and kind of just breaking it down. So to give you guys context, I've been freelancing and I've been doing like consulting, and that's kind of how I've been, making money on the side, which, like, I'll be quite honest with you. Like I said, I've been impressed with myself. Like, there are some good months, there are some not so good months, but like, I've made progress nonetheless. And it's kind of crazy how, like, when you do kind of just take this leap of faith in yourself, kind of just like how you start paying attention to the things that just start coming your way. Like, I know, like, the first month that I quit, like, every client that I had came to me. Like, I didn't know outsourcing my first month in terms of like freelancing clients. Like, every single one of them came to me. And that's when I was kind of like, that automatically gave me faith. I was just like, okay, like, this is a sign. This is literally a sign that, like, I'm onto something, I'm doing something right. And this is what, this is like, I'm on the right track for something. Something that I want to focus on that, like I mentioned earlier in this video, was I started thinking about who it was that I wanted to be instead of what it is that I want to do. But yeah, that shift in my mindset really, I think, defined kind of which direction I wanted to go. And that's something else that I noticed is, and I see this a lot with, like, people in my generation, and even just like people that I know, like people who who reached out to me and people who I talk to all the time, like, super ambitious individuals, extremely intelligent individuals who have so much potential and they know it, and they just don't know where to guide that potential, And if there's anything that I've learned, is that from being someone who has kind of just done everything, like, in the sense it's just like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. Like, this sense of trying and putting myself out there has definitely been beneficial to me because it has gotten me to a lot of places. But like, it has also taught me what it is that I like and don't like, right? But I've also paid attention to that. If there was something that I didn't like, I didn't force myself to do it because I was just like, I don't care how much money this is going to make me. I'm not into it. It's not what I like to do. So, and that's something that I hear from a lot of people too. It's just like, when they think about their career, what they're thinking about is just like, oh, how much money is this going to make me? And of course, money is a huge aspect of like our livelihood. Don't get me wrong. I 100% understand that. But like, in the grand scheme of things, like, truly money is like, it is a portion of the big picture. And I think that's something that, like, it took me a while to see, and I think, like, I hope other people like kind of see this too, is just like, like that saying is just like, do what you love and the money will come. Like, I'm starting to believe that. Like, I do think that that is something that is very true because, like I said, earlier from this, like, when I quit my job and I just put my faith in myself and I was just like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, opportunities for money started coming to me. And that's something that, like, had never happened before. So, and of course, it's not the same amount of money that I was making at, like, my stable 9-to-5 like corporate job, but like, that's the struggle, that's the hardship, that's what comes with, taking this leap of faith in yourself. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable in order for you to grow in any aspect, but especially in your career, and especially if you want to start your own business, your own company, whatever the case is, or even do something like freelancing. So instead of doing anything, right, or even if you have done anything, like, whatever the case is, like, how much of that time can you actually take away to really focus in on what it is that you like to do, and focus in on what it is that you're good at, and focus in on, like, what your actual skills are? Because once you can do that, and once you start investing into what you actually not only enjoy doing, but also what you're good at, then that's, like, what you can kind of just keep focusing your energy on, and, like, keep defining and keep figuring out a way to make money on. And I think that's kind of like what I've learned in terms of, like, this whole entrepreneurship journey. It's like, especially from someone who, like, has no idea what they're doing. Trust me, I have no idea what I'm doing. But that's all it's been. It's just been figuring out what it is that I actually am good at, and continuing to define those, like, defining what it is that I'm good at. Like, why am I good at this? What about this is easy? What can I think from that? And for me, that started off with social media. And, like, it's trickled into so many other things now too. If there is any single piece of advice that I will say, is that if you cannot quit your full-time job and pursue, like, your passion, side hustle, etc., whatever, full-time, like, then don't do that. Like I said, do something that makes sense for you, not, or did I say it in, I don't know if I said it in this version or the version that I filmed before this. Sometimes I just gotta film multiple versions. Think about who it is that you want to be, not what it is that you want to do, how you can be that version of yourself, and what that what that version of yourself does. What time do they wake up? What, are you a gym person? Are they, like, whatever the case is, like, get so granular about the type of life that it is that you want to live. And you'll start to see it unfold in front of you. And maybe this is like a woo-woo version of career advice, but like, that's truly like all that I can say in terms of that. Figure out who it is that you want to be and work towards that. And it might be, I think it's easier said than done, but like, take out the noise. Take out all the noise. And this is what I mean. It's just like, instead of doing everything, figure out what it is that you like to do, focus in on that, and keep driving that forward. I hope this video makes sense. But great chat. I will see you all next week. Remember to like this video and subscribe if you haven't. Like I said, I'll see you next week.